Do you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on this Thursday. It's May 23rd. College baseball, the postseason continues on, and so does our radio show. So does our watch-along. So do our watch-alongs. What is the correct pronunciation there? I don't know. I'll get it down. But we've got a watch-along coming up, 1 o'clock. ECU will take on Wichita State in the second round of the American Athletic Conference Tournament winners bracket game. We'll have coverage here on Hoist the Colors leading into our pregame coverage. Live from Clearwater, Coach O and Scott Rogers will be on the call beginning at 12:45 with pregame coverage. We'll take you up to then, and then we'll be on our watch-along on 94.3 The Game, Facebook, YouTube, X pages. So looking forward to that. A lot of giveaways and a whole lot more coming your way in our watch-along presented by Basil's today. So we'll get more into that in the hour to come. Cason Remaley, he's back in studio post-game or postseason. Cason, how's it going?
Going good. Just had some delicious pizza from Basil's. Pizza was delicious, actually. And looking for a good day of giveaways and Pirate baseball.
No doubt. A lot to look forward to. Philip Pilkington behind the glass for this show. He will transition to the radio booth for the call from Clearwater. Philip, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm glad that we're playing today and we didn't have to play yesterday. And the pizza from Basil's was very good. I'm glad they supplied it. I'm glad I was able to eat some. And I'm a little disappointed we're not going to have another food challenge today. I was kind of hoping you guys would eat like one slice an inning or something, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, Basil's really coming through today, and we'll give them shout-outs throughout the day. Awesome pizza. And they got a lot more than pizza at Basil's, but we went the pizza route today. The ranch is delicious. They will be sponsoring our watch-along, and so go check them out over by the AMC Movie Theater, Fire Tower Road. And great spot, salads, pizza, pasta, anything you want, basically, they have it at Basil's. So great spot. Appreciate their support. Today, as we lead into our watch-along, so East Carolina, of course, winning the opening game 12-4 on Tuesday. We had a lot of fun with the watch-along then. And then yesterday, we were in the midst of the show, guys. We knew there was a situation with Trey Savage. It was very difficult to kind of dance around because we were awaiting the statement from Cliff Godwin. And we got it mid-show. I had heard there was a lung situation, but didn't want to go into details without Cliff Godwin coming out and saying it on the air. Partially collapsed lung. You know, Cliff said it is worse than it sounds, and it, you know, actually having had one playing baseball, ironically, I can say it is kind of worse than it sounds, although it is pretty terrifying when you're shortness of breath and can't really breathe. But we'll see what the recovery process is like, Cason. But what did you make of the whole Trey Savage situation? Obviously not great timing. But Pirates appear to going to have to overcome some more adversity.
Yeah, I think it is very unfortunate. But first and foremost, I think that people need to calm down a little bit. Let's worry about Let's worry about Trey's future first and foremost before we get about an AAC tournament game. I think that is most important, and I think Cliff reiterated that as well. But then again, I think Trey is going to be just fine. He's an absolute warrior. We've seen that the last 3 years that he's been here. And I just think everything is going to work out. Just like I posted on Hoist the Colors, it's time for the offense to finish the job in Clearwater. Keep Trey on ice till next Saturday, and we'll be raring to go. I think that today with Wyatt on the mound helps, which is it's like a nice little uplift for Pirate Nation seeing him out there. And I'm curious to see how long he goes. But then again, back on Trey, just prayers up. Hope he's fine. He got dismissed from the hospital last night, so all positive signs looking up.
No doubt, and just exchanged some texts with Trey yesterday, just briefly, just, you know, wishing him luck and checking in on me. Said, you know, his spirits are good. So out of the hospital yesterday evening, back with the team. We'll see if he's at the ballpark today. Philip, we've had some time to digest the news. We had Jonathan Wagner on yesterday. We were kind of trying to figure out what this means, you know, from a baseball perspective, and obviously we all wish the best for Trey, but, you know, what for you now, what was kind of your feelings on this pitching staff, kind of the uncertainty of it with everything going on? I mean, it's just so many question marks, I would say, going into the rest of the postseason.
There is, and obviously I think, you know, it's fans' jobs and our job as the media to think about next week, the week after. But right now, we got to get through this week. Excuse me, specifically for today. And today, you thought you were going to get about 5 to 6 innings out of Trey Savage. We expect him to start. So, where do those 5 to 6 innings come from? That's the next question, and that's what really needs to be addressed right now. Now, we've been told that Wyatt's going to start. It was announced yesterday by Brian Bailey. Expected to go 2 innings. Okay, that's 2 of your 6. Now you got to find 4 more and then still hopefully have Danny Beal available and anybody else, available to come in and close out this game. And I think that's the frustrating part. I say I'm decently optimistic about today, but if they lose today, I don't know if they can win tomorrow. Beating a team 5 times in 1 week, they're going to be completely out of arms probably. I mean, unless we can also get 2 innings out of Root, say tomorrow, but it's going to be tough. They're going to have to win this one, and I think the only way they win the conference tournament is if they go 4-0. And I think with these bats, 4-0 is definitely a possibility, but without Trey, I think you got to go 4-0.
Yeah, today, I mean, I'm not going to call it a must-win because I think ECU they're obviously in the postseason regardless of what happens. I think they're still in a good spot to host. If you lose the next 2 straight, then maybe that becomes a little more tenuous, especially with Mississippi State winning in the SEC tournament and looking like more of a host. With each passing day, they take on Vanderbilt tonight in the SEC tournament, so we'll keep an eye on that game. But ECU, if they just keep winning, I think if they make it to Sunday, they're undoubtedly going to host. I think they're in a good spot to host regardless. I just think if you lose a couple of games, you put yourself more in the 15-16 line more so than, maybe 8-13 or something like that, Cason. What do you think as far as what this game, these stretch of games, mean for ECU?
I think they'll be fine. One thing I know about Cliff Godwin teams is when their back's against the wall, they like to perform. And then also they like to play their competition. We saw that on Tuesday. And I think today the Pirates will come out motivated. And I also think something that's not talked about is just what Trey's gone through. I think that's going to motivate the team and say, hey, we got to do this for Trey. Let's win this for him because we're without him. I think they're just fine. They're going to win. They're going to win today and go 4-0.
Newton Smith says, is the possible up and down with pitching going to benefit us in the fact that no one on the other team knows who they're going to face and for how long? That's a positive way of looking at it, Newton. I mean, in 2022, ECU didn't really have a starting pitcher, and they were a national seed and hosted a super regional. So, I mean, it can be done. I would just say it finally came back to bit them in that final game against Texas. They just ran out of pitching. So usually when you do it by committee, which ECU is going to have to do right now, eventually it comes back to bite you. It can be done, but there is some element of surprise there when you're staffing it and when you can mix and match, Cason, but you want your horse at the end of the day. Your horse you want Shinkman, Root, your Savage. But I do think ECU can navigate if they have to.
Yeah, and I think just like you said, they did it in 22 with some just miscellaneous pieces. And I think this year the bullpen's good. I know there's been arguments all year, but there are some real dogs in there. DiLorenzo's look great down the stretch. Danny Beal. Lunch for Shinkman, I think, is getting back. Richie's hit or miss, but I think when Richie's on, he can eat some innings. And, just some other guys in there. I think they're going to be just fine. I'm not really worried about the pitching, so to speak. I just really am nervous about the offense because last year I was just so scarred from just what they did in Charlottesville versus Virginia. They just could not get the offense going at all, and the pitching was, in my opinion, far from bad. It was just the offense was just struggling.
What do you think, Philip? Anything to Newton's points about the pitching? He also brings up Colby Wallace. Could be a secret weapon of some sort. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, uncertainty can definitely help. You brought up that 2022 season, but, they have seen a lot of these guys this year. This is not a regional. This is not a super regional. This is a conference foe in which they have seen, whether it be Wichita State or, anyone they go on to play later down the road. So they have seen a lot of these guys. Now, of course, in Wichita State's, side of things, they saw a lot of Root and a lot of Trey because we won those games so handily. So, that could be nice. It is harder to set a lineup when you don't know who you're going to be facing. But you know what? At the end of the day, you still got to go out there and execute. And right now, if, say, we get 2 innings out of Wyatt and that's all we get for the rest of the weekend, and we get nothing out of Trey, nothing out of Zach, obviously Jake's hurt. It gives you like 3 guys down there that you trust, and there's a lot of baseball still to be played this weekend. So, to his point, I like it. I think it's a glass half full way of looking at it, which I'm never going to be upset with someone for thinking, and it could help. But is that enough? I think that's kind of the question. And, right now, probably not.
All right, scores from around the country. There's some action going on. Kentucky leading Arkansas 6-0. Miami up on Clemson 6-2. In Conference USA, you've got Liberty taking on Sam Houston State. The Pirates could really use Liberty to make a run in the Conference USA tournament. They are right behind. They're like right outside the 120 and of the RPI. If they get into the top 120, that would be 3 more wins in Quad 2. Right now, ECU's Quad 2 record is like 2-7 or 3-7, so they could use those 3 wins. Liberty, though, is going to have to win some games in the Conference USA tournament. We've got a comment from Braxton who says App is now leading Coastal Carolina 3-2. He says Coastal potentially playing themselves out. I think Coastal's in regardless because their AD is the head of the committee.
And Gilmore's last season.
Yeah, Gilmore's last season. Like, there's no.
Is this a conspiracy theory or?
I just don't think that it can be left undiscussed. Like, that's going to be a factor. I mean, Coastal Carolina, I'm not saying they deserve to be in RPI of 33. They went 16-14 in the Sun Belt, 2-8 Quad 1.
They started off well, but then just fell off planet Earth.
They did win their final 2 series after a lengthy losing streak. I think they get in, even if they're the last team in, just because, look, if Coastal's AD wasn't on the committee, the head of the committee, but, I mean, let's be real. Like, if it comes down to Coastal and another Sunbelt team, who do you think is getting in?
Local politics, bud.
Local politics. So I think Coastal's getting in. App State, we'll see if they can hang on and win that game, Philip. But I just think it's one of those things where it's tough to imagine Coastal being out with all the factors at play.
Yeah, I agree. And technically, everything we're saying right now, we do know. It's not supposed to factor in. It's supposed to be the performance from this season. But I don't have the resume in front of me. History suggests, and, I don't have the resume in front of me. But, 2-8 against Quad 1, it's not good. But at the end of the day, hey, you still played 10 Quad 1 games coming from a mid-major. And, their out-of-conference schedule was not easy. They played some tough teams, and they didn't perform maybe quite as well as they wanted to. But, I mean, on top of everything you guys just said, because I'm agreeing with everything you said, sometimes history kind of helps teams too. Like, hey, this is a team who's performed well. It's a team who's won a World Series just back in 2016. So a lot of these maybe that doesn't factor in, but a lot of these guys who are on the team now were on the team last year and the year before, and they were a host team last year, and the year before they go to Game 7 of a regional here in Greenville. So, this is a team who can perform in the tournament. We know that, and I think that could play a little factor in as well.
How many other games do you keep your eye on, Cason? So you got the spreadsheet up.
I'm keeping my eyes on it.
Keep us up to date
on a good bit of games. Today, Oregon State. Now, look, I don't understand that Pac-12 format at all.
Pac-12. So they've got 3 pools. The winner of each pool goes to the next round, but then they also have a wild card team, which is, what does that even mean? Like, is this the NFL playoffs?
So Oregon,
sounds like the NBA play-in or mid-season tournament is what it sounds like.
For real. So Stanford beat Oregon State yesterday, who was the projected 10 seed in front of ECU. Oregon State now plays Arizona State at 1 p.m. today, which would be pretty early over there, considering it's in the Pac-12. So if we need Oregon State to take an L today, and then me and Steven stayed up late last night and watched Indiana State.
It's a great baseball game, man.
It was a wild baseball game.
Indiana State against Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois scored 5 in the top of the 11th.
Yes.
And took a 10-5 lead. So I laid down in bed, went to sleep. Got a text from Cason and it just said choke. And I was like, don't tell me they blew it. And I get on stat broadcast. Indiana State has like the tying run on second, and they end up stranding them. Southern Illinois wins. But I assume that's a double elimination tournament. It says Indiana State plays at 5 today. So They took an RPI hit. They dropped below East Carolina. They're still up above East Carolina. They're number 12. They're ranked. See, here's the problem I have with the polls. Indiana State's 20th in the polls, but because they're ranked 9th ahead of last night in RPI, they're considered a better team and will host, according to D1 Baseball, a higher seed. To me, ECU's got the far better resume outside of just an RPI number.
Yes, 100%. I'm going to take a little turn off, but this needs to be said. Cincinnati decides to get good at baseball. As soon as they leave the American, they beat Texas yesterday in the Big 12 tournament. And they have a pretty good RPI, too. And so they just decided to get good. Them and UCF decided to just bring those programs back to life now they're out of the American.
Big 12 TV money, baby.
And I wonder, too, how much of that are they just propped up by playing better competition with the RPI. I know Cincinnati both teams made a coaching change, which could have a lot to do with it. But I'm like, if they're in the AAC, is their RPI still 55, Cincinnati?
Houston got worse, though. They didn't make the tournament.
Yeah. Houston, they have the same coach. That's why.
And
they're bringing them back for another year.
There you go.
All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We actually got some basketball news to discuss because all 13 scholarships are full for Mike Schwartz's team. We'll discuss that. We'll continue to touch on baseball as well. This is Hoist the Colors leading into the watch-along and pregame coverage, East Carolina and Wichita State. We'll be right back.
New Toyotas, 0 down and only $369 a month at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Buy with 0% or get Corollas, $369 a month with 0 down. This is not a lease, you own it. Plus, get our Greenville Advantage at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Dum-dum-dum. Get low, get low, get low. 369, ooh, she fine. Hoping she can sing it to me one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low.
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Ready to save thousands with a great rate. Get 0% financing at Greenville Toyota during the Great Rate Sales Event. Shop our massive inventory of new Toyotas, available as low as 0%. Hurry to Greenville Toyota today, where our volume saves you money.
There be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Steve and I go. How good is this on 94.3 The Game?
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here. Thursday, May 23rd. Cason, Remaley in studio. Philip Pilkington producing. We've got another watch-along. We'll have giveaways, and we'll be giving away a free month subscription to Hoist the Colors every inning. Once again, Basil's sponsoring today's show and today's watch along with some delicious pizza. So shout out to Basil's, as they will be providing pizza for the watch along, and we'll have contests throughout. Cason, Remaley, Dom Kasolki will be a part of that once again. We'll try to keep the mojo going from the 8th inning of Tuesday's watch along. That'll be on 94.3 The Game YouTube, Facebook pages. Coming up right before 1 o'clock, this show will take you up to around 12:45 when we have pregame coverage from Scott Rogers, Coach O down in Clearwater. All right, boys, we got a lineup. East Carolina University has released its lineup for the game against Wichita State, scheduled for 1 o'clock. Riley Johnson hitting leadoff in center field. Carter Cunningham batting second, playing first base. Ryan McChrystal DHing, batting third. Jacob Starling hitting cleanup, playing second base. Jacob Jenkins-Cowart playing right field, batting fifth. Luke Nowak batting sixth in left field with a right-hander on the mound against Wichita State. He gets the start over Bristol Carter. Justin Wilcoxon hitting seventh, catching. Dixon Williams playing third, batting eighth. And Joey Barini at shortstop, the best shortstop in the league, batting ninth. And Wyatt Lunsford-Shinkman on the mound. It'll be his first start of the year, his second appearance in a month. Cason, your thoughts on the lineup?
I'm perfectly fine with the lineup. There are no holes in the lineup, in my opinion. I think we are good to go. Luke Nowak, people may have some questions about, but he played pretty good. He got a big hit in 8th inning the other day, and he's had better
at bats lately.
Yes, he's had better at bats lately for sure. And I think with Wyatt on the mound, I feel good. Just curious on who comes in after.
Danny Bill.
I hope not. His noodle arm.
I think Danny Bill is going to get a lot of work. He threw 3 scoreless innings against Wichita State on whatever doubleheader day that was.
We need to just run rule him so we can cut off 2 innings.
I mean, that would be ideal. I think a lot will be dependent upon – I think they're pretty right-handed heavy. They do have some lefties in their lineup, so we could see Richie. Could see some of the lefties out of the pen. Obviously, Norby's going to be down, unable to pitch. But it's just going to be by committee, man. It is what it is. So we'll see what happens there. Tommy Laporte pitching for Wichita State, and I remember vividly, really good fastball. Secondary stuff pretty good. He's actually the newcomer pitcher of the year in the American. Pretty good numbers. ERA in the 4, around a strikeout per inning, half a walk per inning. So good fastball, 91 to 95. ECU, I remember the first game, struggled catching up to the fastball first time through. Then they really hit it. That was the game Barini had a monster 3-run bomb to kind of change the game. So we'll see what happens as the Pirates take on Wichita State. All right. We've had a change at producer. Dom Kasolki's in. Philip tried to tell me where he was going. What happened? He's just out?
He forgot the Fire Stick, so that would hurt our watch along.
Oh my gosh!
We'd be watching absolutely. We'd be looking at stat broadcasts and reacting like everything just happened. So
that'd be hilarious.
That was it. I'm glad he remembered that.
I'm glad he did. Could have been a pretty big rush if that was the case.
Yeah. Okay, I'm now reading his text. I just realized I forgot my Fire Stick. All right. Well, hey, we got 30 minutes for him to get back and get it set up. How close does he live?
He lives literally right around the corner, like 3 minutes. So he's going to be fine.
We're good. Crisis averted. Glad Dom is here to save the day. Otherwise, we'd really be hurting.
That's 2 times in a row that I've stepped in. Something happened.
We've had to go to the bullpen twice this week, and we've turned out just fine. We went to Danny Bill twice.
You can never go to Danny Bill enough times. He gets better as the outings come. Dom's the same way. All right, Bobby Harward says he fell asleep in the 11th inning of that Indiana State game. He also says, please don't talk basketball.
Well, we are.
Sorry, Bobby.
Let's go ahead and talk about this off-season recap.
Let's talk ECU basketball. There was a lot that has happened, as with every team in America. We'll get back to baseball in our next segment, leading into first pitch. The Pirates now have all 13 players accounted for on scholarship for the coming season. Jordan Riley commits. We'll start there because that's the latest news. He becomes the 4th Division I transfer, along with C.J. Walker, Asa Samvois, Julian Samaro to commit. Average 12 and 6. Athletic, 6'4", guard/wing. Not really a shooter, but good defender. Gets to the free throw line. What's your thoughts on the addition of Jordan Riley?
I think he's a good addition. He's a heck of an athlete. He could be playing outside linebacker, too, for the Pirates, I think, with his body build, and just remember last year his dunk in Minji's was pretty electric.
It was probably the best dunk of the year, honestly.
It was
from any team. In
pretty
Minji's.
wild. It's what Quentin wanted to do for 2 straight years, but he never got it done. But I'm my excitement meter going into this season, I'd put it at like a 4. But then again, I did say that they need shooting. They didn't necessarily get shooting or a point guard. They did get a veteran big, but the veteran big they got is CJ Walker. He's a good player, but he needs to be healthy because the best ability is availability. So we need to make sure he stays healthy. But just like me and you were talking, Steven, Jayshawn Woodward, he is just the wild card, the X factor, 6'7" guard/wing. I think that if he can really come into something he's just the big X factor for me, because you didn't go out and get a point guard. So I guess you're saying Cam Hayes, here's the keys to the car, or maybe giving it to Woodard. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what position he translates to at this level. So, I mean, he basically played a lot of point at Indian River State College in a very high up-tempo offense, and he's 6'7". He shot 36% from three-point range, 51% from the field. He averaged 15.5 points per game. He averaged, he averaged like something crazy, like 8 or 9 assists per game. So, he's just a really good player all around. It's just, is that going to translate to it? 11.3 rebounds per game as I have it now. He had 110 assists to 68 turnovers. Excuse me, he had 212 assists. That was conference play. 212 assists in 31 games to 130 turnovers. 65 steals. The numbers he put up, double-double he averaged, 33 minutes a game. But, again, that's a high up-tempo offense. It's JUCO. ECU played a pretty deliberate style last year in its Division I. So what is the transition there? I don't think anybody really knows.
No one knows the transition. I mean, it's different for everybody because just the player's mentality. I think that if you look at someone's transition, I'm trying to think, like Ezra's transition from his freshman year from his high school to freshman year, I think he figured it out towards the latter part of the year, and I think that's going to happen. You're always going to start out rough. But then again, we also don't know how many minutes he's going to play because we don't know what this lineup's going to look like. I don't know what the starting 5 is right now, if I'm being honest with you, man.
RJ Felton at the 2. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
More than likely, CJ Walker is going to start at the 4 or 5. I would assume Jordan Remaley probably at the 3. Point. It's going to be Cam Hayes, Julian Samaro, or Jay Shane Woodard. I guess your starting 5 on paper, most likely. Cam Hayes at the point. RJ Felton at the 2. Jordan Remaley at the 3. Asa Esamvoa at the 4. He started 64 games for St. Bonaventure the past 2 years. And then I would start CJ Walker at the 5. That way, you could go Sierra Malonga, but that way you start the game with at least 3 guys who can shoot it. And Cam, although he was inconsistent last year, RJ can shoot it, and Asa. That way you kind of spread the floor. You can allow RJ and Jordan to attack. You can allow CJ to even stretch the floor a little bit. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he can shoot.
Yeah, the only problem I have is just teams going to pack the paint.
They are.
Teams are going to pack the paint. Every defender's going to have a foot inside the paint when they play us. But then again, when that happens, let's make open shots. So, but then again, shout out my guy Cam Hayes. I hope he has a great season. His best season was when he did play point guard, so with some good pieces around him.
Cameron says we have tried recruiting big-name transfers. Those players have never amounted to much. Won't judge going after no names. Coach said he was going to try something different. Maybe it will work now.
That's a good way of putting it.
It's definitely not the sexiest class, and we were talking earlier to Cason. There were legitimate expectations going into last year, so maybe not having that pressure allows this team to maybe surprise some people.
Yeah, then that's what I'm saying. In the best way possible, it's what this team does this upcoming year from what we've seen. It's they're not going to disappoint anybody. So all you can do is impress everybody. And look, sometimes with ECU teams, the teams that don't have expectations turn out well. The teams with expectations don't turn out well, hence last year. But Then again, you never know. College basketball, anyone can beat anyone, so we shall see.
From top to bottom, I feel like the roster's gotten a little better, Cason. They do have some youth still. Like, I don't know what you're going to get from LaDontae Felton and Barron Smith as freshmen in this era of college basketball. But, 1 through 10, Ben Salvungo is another guy who, is athletic as crap, long. Can he shoot the ball? I don't know. There's just a lot of unknowns, which I guess is the unknown can be good and bad.
Yeah. And, I mean, just – and also in college basketball, you're going to find your way, in so to speak. Just like the past years with sports, the starting five day one was not the starting five the last season, the last game of the season. And look, they're gonna find their way. At the end of the day, you have RJ Felton, who's top 5 player in the AAC, and they do have veteran players. And I think older players find a way to win, especially in this day and age of college basketball. But then again, you never know.
Has this team gotten better, do you think, on paper, compared to when they started this offseason? Or if they haven't gotten better, can they be better if everything comes together?
Well,
or is it it's just impossible to say?
That's a tough question because you asked me if they got better, but they had 3 players on the team at the beginning of the offseason. So,
from I guess the end of last year,
from the end of
Brandon
last year,
and Ezra, yeah.
No, this team did not get better.
Yeah.
But I will say this though. I don't know if I'm wrong here or right, but I think that the way Schwartz recruited, he recruited to get the reserves for last year's team. What I'm trying to say is if they had Woodard, Riley, Asa, and Julian, and Walker
instead of Pinedo,
of Walker, Pinedo, LeCount, them. I think that'd be an all right team because it wouldn't be much of a drop off when you sub and sub out. So that's what I'm looking at, kind of, because I think 3 of the 4 transfers, D1 transfers, will not start, and I think that it kind of looked like he was trying to recruit behind the team from last year.
Yeah. So you upgraded at least the bottom half of your roster.
Yes, the bottom half of the roster is way better, for sure.
It's just, are guys going to step up and help RJ enough from a standout level perspective? That I don't know. And, we'll see. Bobby Howard says Brandon Johnson's a JUCO success. Any others in recent memory? The biggest one for me is Maurice Kemp, who was a junior college forward during the CIT run. He, to me, is one of the best stretch fours they've ever had. And he was a junior college kid. Again, took a year or so to get really caught up to Division I level. That's kind of the concern with junior college guys and transfers. But ECU just hasn't really taken a ton of transfers in that realm recently outside of adding a big guy for depth. So we'll see. I kind of like the 2 JUCOs. We'll see how they transition to this level. Are they still going on the international trip is what RBN wants to know. Not sure. I heard at least some of that money would be put towards NIL, so I'll check on that. Randall wants to know, do we think they will be above 500 next season? I would say right now they have to prove to me they can do it. I mean, ECU hasn't had an over 500 season in a decade, so I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I think that if last year's team couldn't do it, I don't think that this year's team will do it. But then again,
if they have the same non-conference schedule, can actually win those games.
But then again, we could catch lightning in a bottle. So
Cameron says J.J. Miles, that's the big games for ECU JUCO. He did. He also had a lot of bad games. Love J.J., though. Great guy. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show. We'll talk baseball leading into our pregame coverage. And any other basketball questions you got, drop them in. We'll get them after the break. This is Hoist the Colors on a Thursday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Inner Banks Media and 107.9 WNCT presents Concert on the Common.
Next show, May 23rd with Captain Mike and Shipwrecked, a tribute to Jimmy Buffett.
Cheeseburger in paradise. Medium rare with mustard beans nice. Heaven on earth with an onion slice. Cheeseburger in paradise.
Concert on the Common, thanks to Inner Banks Media, the City of Greenville, and the Junior League of Greenville.
We'll see you at the show.
To Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Drink up me hearty show ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Got a few minutes left of pregame talk here before we throw it to pregame coverage live from Clearwater. Scott Rogers, Coach O on the call. Again, we got a live watch-along coming up presented by Basil's. That will start the stream probably at about 12:55 and allow you guys to hop in before we really get rolling. Giveaways coming your way, and a lot more discussion in game. Cason Remaley in studio. He'll be a part of the watch along. Philip Pilkington producing. Dom Kasoki also behind the glass. He'll be a part of the watch along as well. Allison Moody Woodland wants to know any insight on why ESPN app has our game at 3. Will they figure it out, or should I just plan on listening to the radio feed? Well, I hope they figure it out. Otherwise, we'll just be watching stat broadcasts during our.
Well, ESPN with college baseball is just so funky. Because ESPN doesn't cover college baseball unless it's the SEC.
Yeah, so I mean, I would hope that they would figure that out. I mean, you would think the conference office, if it doesn't start on time, would be able to allow them.
I have breaking news.
What do you got?
That's not good.
East Carolina transfer Quentin DeBouge has committed to Rhode Island.
Is Rhode Island still good now?
No, because what's his name left? Hurley.
Yes.
Yes, they've been bad since. But breaking news.
All right, it's not quite Humboldt State that Caleb Account's going to, but
Right
Rhode
over
Island is where Quentin DeBouge is going. So congrats to him.
That's honestly better than I thought personally.
Yeah, I thought he'd be somewhere in like the Atlantic Sun.
Which like Queens?
What conference is Rhode Island in?
A10.
Yeah, A10.
I knew that. All right, Quentin DeBouge heading to the A10.
Shout out Quentin DeBouge, man.
Cameron says if we win non-conference games, I would say 17, 18 wins max for ECU basketball. If we struggle non-conference, we only win 12 to 14 games.
How many games you got us winning in the conference, man?
I mean, the thing is, look, I assume it's going to be the same non-conference schedule ECU's had for like 20 years now. Should be a lot of wins, and then they lose.
Those games.
I know, you got to win. You can't lose those games.
I'll never forget that Upstate game this past year. I didn't say a word to you the rest of the game. We didn't even talk after the game. I just said, I'll see you, dude. I just left.
You know, the one thing I'll think about this year is, because I was listening on the radio as you guys were, as I was going at the Fire Stick.
Good
because
job,
you brought up the twos are much better than the twos last year. Is this going to be one of those years where we don't lose any games to like those really crappy teams because they're so little of a fall off from the ones of the twos? And then conference play comes around and we like lay a goose egg. We go like undefeated out of conference and then
I can see that. That's what they often did under Dooley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they would actually win the majority of the non-conference games and then win like 3 conference games.
I think that's what happens because I don't think we have the starting lineup to win conference games, but we have the twos to not get beat by Upstate.
Yes, and I also think the conference got worse this year compared to last year too. So.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, in basketball especially, it's going to be a struggle to maintain.
Charlotte's down. South Florida's going to be down.
NIL.
SMU's going to be down. Memphis will be Memphis, so we'll just kind of push them to the side. Who else is up top?
Like North Texas was pretty good last year.
North Texas will be down. UAB will be down. They lost all their 8th-year seniors that they had, even though they did almost win their tournament game, whoever they played.
We'll have our off-season podcast.
Yes, we will.
We'll break it down every team.
We're bringing it back, people.
I don't know why, but we are. All right, we got about 30 seconds left. Let's go around the horn. Pick to click. Who gets it done today, guys?
Luke Nowak has multiple hits.
Philip?
If Wyatt doesn't come out firing, we lose the game. Give me Wyatt.
I am going to go with Jacob Starlin. I think he homers for a second straight game, and he's going to homer 3 times this week. He's already got 1. I think he hits another one today. Bobby Harvard says FAU will be worse than basketball front
for
as well.
sure.
Dusty
for sure.
May and all those transfers heading out as well. All right, well, that'll basically do it for our time today on the Hoist the Colors radio show. It's been an abbreviated show because, of course, we had to kick it to pregame coverage live from Clearwater. Scott Rogers, Coach O on the call.
We were pregaming the pregame.
We were pregaming the pregame, and we're about to go to the live stream where we'll continue pregaming and roll into the real thing. So join us, 94.3 The Game YouTube, Facebook page. We'll have giveaways and more. That'll come your way here shortly. Also tune in to the radio broadcast with Coach O and Scott Rogers. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 noon.
Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.